Have you ever felt like you're running on life's treadmill and the speed just keeps getting faster and 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 faster until you can't even stop and take a breath? Well, today we're going to be learning how to hit the pause button and regain balance in our lives. And we'll start doing that by learning about our hearts. So welcome to Heart Science 101. Think of yourself as an energy system, kind of like your phone, for example. You can expend your phone's energy if you leave your phone out without recharging it, or if you're constantly running apps in the background without swiping out of them. And this can lead to your phone becoming slow, it may even start to glitch, and eventually it will probably just shut down. On the flip side, you can renew your phone's energy by charging it or restarting it. So just like you manage your phone's battery by closing out of unused apps or tabs, maybe setting it to low power mode or plugging it into charge, we as humans can also learn how to manage our energy, our battery, for resilience and well-being. If we're always on without taking the time to recharge, then our resilience can decrease, our stress levels rise, and that can lead to potential health challenges. So what's the solution? Self-regulation. Managing your energy wisely. Just like you close out of unused apps on your phone, you need to recharge your inner battery. Now here's where it gets interesting. The HeartMath Institute has been researching the connection between our hearts and our minds for over 30 years. They have thousands of peer-reviewed published research studies, and I'm actually a trainer through them as well. And HeartMath says that there's a fundamental term for optimal functioning and being our best selves, and that term is called coherence. You can think of coherence as the state where your heart, your mind, and your emotions align and they all work in sync, they're in harmony. And when we're coherent, then we can make better decisions, we can stay emotionally stable, we can reduce stress. A common use of the word coherence is in how we speak. Imagine a professional speaker who, when they speak, the words just come together and they flow in a way that makes sense. That's when we're speaking coherently. On the flip side, if someone's had way too much to drink, then we might say that that person is incoherent, right? They're not really making sense. So at its core, coherence implies a sense of harmony. It implies a sense of connection, of stability, and in HeartMath's terms, it also implies an efficient use of our energy. In the body, on a physiological level, when we're coherent, then all of our systems, our nervous, hormonal, immune systems, they're all coordinated and they're all working together smoothly. So to get why coherence is so important, let's talk about our autonomic nervous system, our ANS. And I'll keep this very simple and at a high level. Our ANS controls a lot of what goes on in our body, like breathing, controlling our heart rate, even our immune system. And the ANS has two branches. It has our sympathetic branch, which is kind of like the gas pedal, and it has our parasympathetic branch, which is kind of like a brake pedal. And both of the branches connect up to the heart. And all the emotions that we experience change the activity in our ANS, which then affects the way that the heart beats on a beat-to-beat basis. So like we said, the sympathetic branch is kind of like the gas pedal, and that system speeds up our heart rate. And it's active when we need to expend energy, like when we're climbing the stairs or when we're working out. And it's also very activated when we feel threatened or when we feel unsafe. On the other hand, the parasympathetic branch, the brake pedal, that slows down our heart rate. And the parasympathetic branch is more active when we feel safe, when we feel calm and comfortable. So when you learn how to pause and how to self-regulate, which we'll practice at the end of this video, you'll actually get a tool from HeartMath, then we activate our parasympathetic branch, which slows things down, right? It's the brake pedal that keeps us calm. And when our hearts and our minds are more coherently aligned, then we're able to focus and think more clearly. We're able to make better decisions and maintain emotional stability and calm. So where does it all begin? Where does coherence begin? Well, it all starts in our hearts, hence why this video is called Heart Science 101. Throughout history, we've associated the heart with love, with intuition, and wisdom. And we've seen and heard this countless times in ancient tales, and storybooks, and movies, and TV shows. It's ingrained in us. In fact, we often say phrases like, "Follow your heart," or "My heart goes out to you." Or we might say, "Someone has a heart of gold," if they're a very kind or giving or compassionate, loving person. So on some level, we all know that our hearts play a very powerful role in our emotional experiences, in our emotional world, and in decision making, and in expressions of love and compassion. It turns out now that modern science backs this up. Your heart isn't just a pump like you may have learned in school. It's an information processing center that talks to your brain. And it has its own complex nervous system, which is often referred to as the heart brain. And guess what? Your heart actually sends way more information up to your brain than your brain sends to the heart. In fact, 80 to 90% of communication goes upward from our hearts to our brains. And if that's still not cool enough, then get this. Your heart rhythms actually reflect your emotions, so how you feel is reflected in your heart rhythms. Here are two heart rhythms from the same person, and they were recorded just moments apart. And you may notice that the heart rhythm on the left side looks pretty chaotic, it looks pretty jagged, maybe spiky. In this example, there was a research participant who was instructed to remember a time where she felt frustrated. And because our brains can't tell the difference between something that's real and something that's vividly imagined, she started to physiologically experience the feeling of frustration. And her heart rhythms reflected that by appearing more chaotic looking, more jagged, more spiky. So depleting emotions such as frustration, anger, stress, anxiety, that creates that more jagged looking heart rhythm. And we call this an incoherent heart rhythm. Now, the heart rhythm on the right looks pretty different. You may describe this heart rhythm as smooth, as ordered, kind of like a sine wave, if you remember that back from school. And this time, the research participant was instructed to remember a time where she felt appreciation. So when she shifted into feeling that appreciation, her heart rhythm pattern changed into a more ordered, coherent pattern. So renewing emotions such as ease, or patience, appreciation, love, motivation, they all create a more ordered, harmonious pattern, which we call the coherent heart rhythm. And coherent heart rhythms make you smarter as well. So when you're feeling those renewing emotions, you're actually operating at a higher level. And these renewing emotions affect brain centers that are involved in foresight, in decision making, and social awareness. And when you're incoherent, it's like your brain's thinking gets impaired. And this is what we call cortical inhibition. A simple way of thinking about it is that anger, frustration, and other depleting emotions can often lead us to do or say things that we may later regret. And consider this for yourself. Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment that just came out and you wish that you could snap it back and you regret saying it? I know I have. Sometimes we even say things like, "God, where was my brain?" And this happens when we're incoherent and we're out of sync and our cortex, our thinking brain, is inhibited. So we literally can't even think as clearly when we feel stressed because the neural activity in our brain centers is out of sync. And that's why coherence and what you'll be learning in this video and on this channel really, really matters for your well-being. So in a nutshell, what this really boils down to is that when we're coherent, we feel better, we think better, and we do better. So how do we get coherent? We've been talking all about heart science and the power of the heart, but how do we actually become coherent? Well, there are many ways to become coherent, but one of the ways is through a technique called heart-focused breathing. And I covered heart-focused breathing in some of the previous videos as well, which I'll link in the description box below. But we can practice heart-focused breathing to shift into a calm yet alert state. So coherence isn't necessarily relaxation. In fact, there are many EMTs, elite athletes, Olympians, and other first responders who are trained in heart-focused breathing. So for example, we wouldn't really want an EMT to arrive at the scene of an emergency and be super relaxed and super calm. No, because then they would probably be really slow and they wouldn't really respond as effectively, and therefore they're not thinking clearly. So coherence isn't necessarily always relaxation. Coherence is more of a calm yet alert state where we're still able to respond and handle situations quickly and effectively. So let's practice heart-focused breathing together now. And you can do this with your eyes open, or if you're safe and in a comfortable environment, you may close your eyes, of course, if you're not driving. And you can place your physical hand over your heart if you like, just to connect even more deeply. And focus your attention in the area of your heart. And imagine that your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or your chest area. Just breathing a little slower and deeper than you usually do. Finding a nice, easy rhythm that's comfortable for you. Okay, that's it. That's heart-focused breathing. It's very simple, yet very powerful. And I'd love to know what your experience was, so please feel free to share in the comment section below how that felt for you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I always love hearing from you. So that's a wrap for today. And now you have a very powerful yet practical tool in your toolkit that you can practice when you feel yourself on life's treadmill. To press pause, focus on the heart, and practice that heart-focused breathing. Because coherence is really integral in regaining balance and resilience in our lives. And if you found this video helpful, of course, please like and subscribe for more content on personal development and well-being and empowerment. And if you're interested in diving deeper into these practices or exploring your unique path to coherence, you can find more information on my website at mayakogan.com. We have many different online courses available, one-on-one coaching. The courses are free and paid as well, so lots of different resources on there for you. Really, thank you for joining me today, and I honor you for taking the time to invest in your own well-being and in connecting more deeply with your hearts. So I look forward to spending time with you in the next video, and I wish you an amazing rest of your morning, your afternoon, evening, night. Take care.